So it's a great pleasure to have Wolfi on the EEE podcast. Wolfi is the owner of Wolfi's, the renowned and historic bicycling shop. And we're very privileged here today to be talking about the history of cycling and the outlook for the UAE. Thank you, Wolfi, for joining us.
No, thank you so much. And I think it's great to be on the podcast, share the story, and get people hopefully into the sport we love so much, which is cycling, which is an easy way, good, healthy way to explore the UAE and all its beauty and the rest of the world. And then as well, getting to know the cycling community and becoming part of it.
So I think when people think of cycling, they don't really think of the UAE. And I know you've really changed that in the last 20 years, particularly with what's happened in Paris. And so maybe you can start us off by telling us what got you into cycling and what's your story.
Yes. I started my career in cycling more as a side hustle when I was working in a hotel, and I made 2 apprenticeships in hospitality. One was Hotel Fachmann, we call it in Germany, which is kind of a school of everything in a hotel. And during this time, I had the guest program and the guest entertainment program. And we decided to buy mountain bikes and to explore the beautiful Black Forest. I'm born in the Black Forest, and we were in a nice sports hotel with other facilities like tennis and so on. But cycling and mountain biking was the next new thing. And so we started 1986, 1987. Age of 16, 17, I started to work there, and I really enjoyed it. And my oldest brother had a mountain bike, and so it was just a new sport, and it was something a bit revolutionizing the road cycling scene. And a lot of people got into it, and then a lot of our customers said, "Okay, I'm interested to buy a bike. Can I have one of these bikes?" Because they were not readily available. And so the idea came for me to make it a small business. And I asked my director of the hotel, said, "Listen, would it be okay if I buy a bike for myself and I take it back to my home place?" My brother had a car repair shop. I parked the bike there, and when somebody came to the place, we started selling a bike, and then I had sold 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I had enough money to buy 2 bikes. And so I invested in. Today it's a few more bikes we have and a few more businesses, but it's still the same love of introducing cycling to someone and seeing the community, exploring nature, being part of nature, being part of a cycling community, mental, physical fitness, all these points which come with it when you allow a bicycle into your life. That really is fantastic, and obviously environmental friendly as well on top of it.
Yeah, and I think everyone who's ridden a bicycle remembers the first time they got on the bike and probably when they fell. And you've been starting this journey for over 20 years in the UAE. And so how did that one shop grow into multiple, and how is it seen as a form of exercise and transport in the UAE, in your opinion?
When we came, cycling was not a big part. There was some cyclists, the federation was doing some work with racing, but it was not a common sport. But I think it was generally in the world, it was not as seen as a mode of transportation as much. And when we came here, Dubai was a completely different place. The UAE, the road infrastructure wasn't there. Obviously, there was no cycle tracks. And so we started, and for the first 10 years, it was simply kind of getting bikes repaired, getting a few bikes into the market that people could really start. And then it was always from the first moment onwards, we always kind of invited people to join the ride, because I was training for myself, and I said, "Okay, you wanna join me on a." At that time, Friday was the day everybody was off. So Friday morning, we met on Sunday night, we met on Tuesday night. These were the nights I picked for myself and said, "Okay, I'm going riding. Who wants to come?" And at the beginning, we were like 1, 2, 3 people. And then everybody brought a friend. And I was a master of diverting every conversation I had with anyone into cycling and into getting into the sport. And over the years, the community did grow. We had the honor to meet His Highness, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, because we were riding in Al Shiba, and that was a place where he visited or drove with his car frequently. And then we saw him, and he always gave us a friendly wave. And sometimes we had a conversation. It's okay, what are you guys doing? Cycling. And then cycle tracks and locations were built over the years, which obviously changed the landscape quite a bit. And some very unique, and if you haven't tried it, if you live in the UAE or you ever come to the UAE and you're into cycling, I think that's something really you should try. And there's for sure a good week of exploring the UAE, being like Jebel Jais, Jebel Hafid, the Yas Marina Circuit, Hudayrat Island, Al Wadba, Medan, Al Qudra. There's so many great places the UAE government has provided for cyclists, and it's safe. It's a great way to explore the desert, see the oryx, climb the highest mountain of the UAE on the bicycle. So it's a really fantastic facilities have been provided.
Yeah, and I think you've mentioned it really well that there's so many tracks that maybe people don't know about: Al Qudra, Jebel Hafid, Hudayriyat, et cetera, et cetera. And I think there's been so much that's been done. What do you think the future is in terms of how much more can occur?
I don't know, it's very exciting, and I've seen plans, and I was a part of looking into things. And yeah, we have done a lot already, but I think there's so much more to come. I think the UAE government really recognizes cycling as a sport. And you mentioned before, I was in Paris at the Olympics, and there was the UAE Olympic House, and it was a great presentation of the hospitality and the culture of the UAE. And I walked in, and I was greeted by Arab people in the kandura and abaya, and they offered Arabic coffee, and we walked into the display, and there was the Dao, there was the palm tree, there was some mountains, and on top of the mountain there was a drawing of a bicycle, and I thought, this is amazing that now people come here obviously to a sports event, so sports was in the forefront, but that cycling is the first thing, or one of the first things the UAE is showcasing as the culture of the sport. Then I walked a bit deeper into the exhibition, and I saw pictures and displays of people of Safia who participated as a cyclist, female cyclist in the Olympic Games. Then there was a virtual, a tunnel with video screens, and you could see the sports of the UAE, like the Dows, you could see the camel racing, you could see the falcon racing, and you could see cycling. Forefront, obviously, the Team UAE Emirates representing cycling around the world, Team ADQ, which is the female equivalent, racing in the top races around the world, bringing the culture of the UAE, the knowledge about cycling in the UAE to the rest of the world. We're just coming back from an amazing season, 2024, with winning the Giro d'Italia, winning the Tour de France. And I think all of these are just amazing achievements, and it's really always nice to see and speak to people, because obviously the sport connects, and people say, the UAE, and then they make the connection with the sport. And now we didn't know that cycling is such a big thing in this part of the world. But yeah, in the UAE for sure, it's a big sport, and there's lots of things to come. So I've seen plans about connections between Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and so on. So it's a lot of areas as well. Al-Ain is a focus of development for cycling. I think the government understands that on their pursuit to make it the best country to live in, to have healthy, happy people, sports, and communities is a vital part. And cycling is a great way to do that. You can start as early as 2-3 years old when you get your first walker bike. You go to school, you create a habit of a healthy lifestyle, and you can do it until you're 60, 70, 80. And I think this is a great way to have a sports implemented into your daily life.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And if I reflect on my kind of cycling journey in the UAE, it wasn't until my friends said, "Hey, Malik, why don't you come cycling with us, or why don't you try, the bicycle?" And it wasn't something that I had really considered. And the first question that I had to my friends was, "Well, how do you cycle in the heat? How do you work around that?" And that's a lot of questions that now I face when I'm telling people, "Hey, I really enjoy cycling." What advice and thoughts do you have when it comes to that?
Yes, we have obviously a few months in the year where it's really hot, but even so, we ride early morning, which really suits the day of if you have a busy work schedule, which Dubai obviously and the UAE is a demanding place as well for people working. So, and this really suits the lifestyle there, because we can go early morning, hours from 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. These are the busy hours on the cycle tracks. And then the facilities are not only the cycle track, the facilities are shower facilities, which are really 5-star, free to access shower facilities. You have nice coffee shops where people put a lot of effort creating coffee and breakfast, having a chat before you go to work. So I think it's really the perfect start of the day where people can join and meet others. and that's the culture which has been created in the UAE. So the heat is a problem when you ride 10, 11, 12, but I think most people are at work and nobody would really do that anyway. So people ride in the morning where it's nice because you don't need to have extra clothes. Maybe in January, sometimes it's kind of cold that you need a bit something extra to wear, or they ride in the evening, and that kind of really suits the rest of the day as well when you have to go to work. So you fit it in the morning or in the evening, and you have always like-minded people around you. And that's something we heard a lot, that people say, oh, we're coming to the UAE, we start a career, we're starting work. And it was maybe sometimes a little difficult to connect with others. And the cycling group and the cycling community was really something, because you go together, and when you cycle, normally you cycle in pairs of twos on the cycle tracks. And then you cycle next to someone, and then you cycle for 5-10 minutes. And then the first time, maybe it's only, hey, good morning, how are you doing? A good ride, and so on. And then next time you meet again and you have a conversation, and suddenly you're in this infrastructure and in this with friends in cycling, and you just evolved into this part. And I think it's really nice to see the friendships we have seen being built over the years. It's amazing. So if you're into sports and you're into endurance sports, I think the cycling community is a very welcoming and open community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think walking into the Wolfi store, you kind of feel that, culture, history, institution, and there's a whole season behind it. And so maybe for someone that's thinking of coming into cycling, I guess it picks up in September, and that's when the weekly cycles take place, or otherwise. Or what's the context there?
Yes, I'm just upstairs in my office above the shop, and I just walked through the shop, and it was buzzing, and people are getting into the sport, and it's still the same mission and purpose we have. We want to help people to get into the sport, and yes, September is the perfect time to start. Then you have the longest period of time ahead of you. The weather was already good. I cycle normally every day of the week. Either I take my bicycle and I cycle to the gym, or I cycle with my friends to do more of sports cycling. And Wednesday was a fantastic day. Friday was lovely. So I think it's really getting the right time is here now. And I would just recommend you just go and start and go to a place. Please come to Wolfi's. We're happy to help you. We can show you around. We can take you through the different steps. It's not as expensive as maybe sometimes people think. You can start with a bike, I would say, between 2.5 to 3,000 dirhams onwards, and you can get really a great exercise out of it. You can actually get the same level of exercise from a basic bike. If you really take the time and the effort you put in the exercise, then it's not really about the bike. Yes, when you want to join groups and you really enjoy the sport and you want to upgrade or maybe trade in and move on to the next bike, we can help you with that. But it's really for us to have an easy entry into the sport. We have a campaign, Welcome to Cycling. We have a campaign, Bring Your Friends. So it's truly the desire to get more people to feel what we feel when we're riding a bike and make them part of the community. That's really, I would almost say, as pure as it gets for us. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And with that, what's your favorite track in the UAE?
I mean, I like Meydan because I think it's a place where I meet my friends. It's close to my home, so it's very easy for me. And within a minute, I'm on the track. That's what I use normally during the week. If I have a bit more time and I drive to Al Qudra, I think that's a beautiful track in the desert. Same like Al Watpa, you have this calmness of the desert. I think that's something beautiful you should experience. Yas Marina Circuit is unbelievable. Yeah, being on a Formula One track is just such an experience. And seeing the Yas Marina Circuit Hotel. We have big plans for the Red Island. And yeah, if I'm in good shape and I try to conquer the mountains like Jebel Hafid or Jebel Jais. So Jebel Jais is really nice because it's fairly long, but the gradient is not so steep. So it's a good mountain to climb, and obviously the view is stunning. And it's a really challenge. I mean, riding on the flat is almost like one sport. Then you're riding with a group. You have to your speed is determined a bit by the group. The dynamic is a little different, but then you're challenging a mountain, and you're challenging one of the biggest mountains in UAE. And that's a battle, you against the mountain and you against yourself and your mind. And that's a good, sometimes it's a bit of a painful place to be. But then again, it's a beautiful place to just be with yourself, putting the effort, going around the corner, seeing the next corner, climbing again. And I have to say, sometimes you think, okay, can I do this? Is it, am I giving up or not? And then you push one more time, you go to the next corner and again. And so it's a bit of life story that I think it's for us. I think it's a good way to strengthen your mind. And sometimes you achieve things you wouldn't maybe think you can achieve. And that's the beautiful thing about riding uphill and riding to a top of a mountain.
Yeah, and I think just kind of thinking about that mountain. The other day I was cycling and I was, the sun was up and there was the beach on my left and the desert on my right, and it was just kind of a very surreal and really cool moment. This podcast series is called Optimism and Sustainability. And I think when you look at the news, there's a lot of challenge and distress, but there's also reasons to be optimistic. And so when it comes to cycling in the UAE, what are you optimistic about, and where do you think it can go?
I mean, I think optimistic is there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, and we see now we are 22 years in the UAE, and I see many times that people come in with a bike which they bought 10, 15 years ago. They're still using it. They're still in good nick, and they have looked after them well. And I said, listen, this is perfect. It's that's the best maybe way to recycle, because you're using it again. We don't need to replace a bike every time. And then I think the community is growing. We see every day new people coming into the sport. I think, again, with the support of the government, new cycle tracks are being built. And I see a very good future for the sport. I think globally, I think it's recognized for commuting. Maybe commuting is not such a strong part we have in the UAE, because obviously it's a bit challenging with the heat and with the weather after 8, 9 o'clock to go to the office. So I think there's some work needed, and maybe that will be challenging. But we see all around globally that cycling is for sure a part for all city planners for reducing CO2 emission and everything like this. With the e-bikes have done a big change there. So I'm very, very positive, and it's good. We had our 20th anniversary, and then you kind of try to reflect on what have you done and how has the journey been. And I said to the team, listen, I think we have one of the best jobs in the world. Yeah, we're working with children from a very young age, getting them kind of independent on the bike, seeing that first time they can ride a bike, a big smile. They go with their parents to school. Then obviously the whole journey about more sports, a bit more triathlon, cycling, the achievements they do while that, and then obviously the middle-aged man, everyone, and until somebody is 67 years of age, and we help them on their journey. We build mental and physical health. So I think there's a lot of positivity in the sport itself, and as I said before, the community is very welcoming, and so I think it's a great sport and a great community we and others have built in the UAE. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful every day really to come to work and see 1 or 2 or 3 customers, new customers, or just hearing the stories. People can tell us what they have achieved. And you told me a story that when you grew up here and came back, and now you're into cycling. And this is just I would say almost like a normal story that people appreciate this and see it and make this part of their life. And it's really good. I'm very happy.
Yeah, no, and I think I remember seeing that picture in your office of the first truck with all the bikes, and thinking of all the development that's taken place since then. So I feel like one of the hidden gems of the UAE. I think it's really transformed the way I travel around the city, and really a reason to be optimistic. So with that, Wolfi, really grateful for your time to kind of share your expertise and knowledge around cycling, why it's relevant to the UAE, and hopefully more to come.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing. I think it's great to share positivity. I think that's good, and for sure there's some good things and positivity you can have on a bicycle. So if somebody wants to start a journey, we're always very, very happy to help you and take you. We call our team here success managers, and we want to have you successful. And we're really here to help. We have several locations spread around the UAE, so that we want to make it easy for you to get into mountain biking, triathlon, road cycling, and become a cyclist and become part of this great movement we have now in the UAE. But thank you for your good work, and appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wolfi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.